Hey guys, before the video starts, if you don't follow me on my personal Twitter account or my Instagram page, I've recently made my Discord public, so if you want to join it, the link is down below in the description. For today's video, this is something that I've been wanting to share with you all for a while now. Among other ideas that I have, this one is just one of many. Ever since time travel was introduced into the Star Wars canon through season 4 of Star Wars Rebels via the World Between Worlds episode, it crossed my mind, what if Darth Vader could somehow find a way to access the portals or whatever the realm is? It opens up so much endless possibilities in the Star Wars timeline, such as a certain fanfiction I uploaded.
Hello there.
Now before I get into this, let's establish Anakin's whole arc and purpose in Revenge of the Sith. Anakin's whole reason for turning to the dark side was to save the one thing he cares about, which is Padme. He couldn't do that through the ways of the Jedi, much less since he is entrusted to be a Jedi Master, even though he was placed on the council but not granted the rank of Master, which infuriated Anakin. He had no choice but to turn to the dark side, and once he did it, he was in it for good, and there's no coming back from the things he's done. He was manipulated by Palpatine into believing he can save Padme from death, which ultimately left him with nothing in the end. I believe if Anakin, or Vader at this point, somehow had access to the World Between Worlds like Ezra, he would go back to Mustafar and prevent his biggest regret. So let's enter the World Between Worlds and visit an alternate universe of the Star Wars timeline, an Elseworlds, on what if Darth Vader found the World Between Worlds.
Where is Padme? Is she safe? Is she all right?
So our story begins 9 months after Revenge of the Sith. Anakin, who's now Darth Vader, is still trying to fully transition into being this Dark Lord of the Sith. He's still struggling with the conflict of Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. He's pretty much lost everything, including his face, limbs, and for that he has so much resentment towards his new master. Now we're still not sure how long Palpatine had knowledge of the World Between Worlds. As we saw in Rebels, it looked like that he'd been trying to find a way inside the portal through other methods. So we'll say that Palpatine has had knowledge of this place since the Phantom Menace, but hasn't figured out a way to access it. So let's begin our story here. As Darth Vader sits quietly in his meditation chamber, he begins to think about everything up until now. Cutting Mace's hand off, executing Order 66, killing younglings, harming Padme, and losing to his master on Mustafar. And reliving the pain of being put in the suit for the first time. The meditation chamber begins to open as Vader prepares to board his starfighter. Flying through private coordinates, Vader arrives on Lothal, in a secret isolated area away from Imperial occupation. In this timeline, Vader has heard rumors and whispers of a location that can access any place in time. Prior to this, he had found out that his master had been studying a way to access the portals, so he stole all the data on it for himself. He made copies so that Palpatine would suspect that he's snooping around. Vader had been waiting for the right time to do this. We would meet Vader making his way into a collapsed tunnel which is connected to a Jedi temple underground. As Vader makes his way through the underground maze, he comes across a mural, an exact replica of the one Ezra would encounter years later, or at least he did in the original timeline. Vader begins to hear voices coming from them. He slowly reaches his hand out to touch it, but senses a disturbance in the Force.
My pet told me you were here. I've been searching for you for some time.
It appears the Emperor has caught wind.
Right before the Seventh Sister can react, Vader will ruthlessly force choke her with a brutal neck snap. He looks around quickly, then gently focuses his attention back to the mural. He has to be quick because there might be other Imperials on his tail. Now in order for Vader to open the gateway, he has to use the light side of the Force, which he struggles to do ever since Order 66. He would be successful with us entering the gateway to the other side. Vader stumbles into the World Between Worlds, looking around as he tries to figure out what to do next, where to go next. As he begins to slowly walk through the pathway, Vader hears voices in the distance, some familiar and some not. Vader begins to hear something that caught his immediate attention in the distance. Vader follows the woman's voice that he hears, only to relive the most traumatic moment in his life, his #1 regret.
It's your love.
Love won't save you, Padme. Only my new powers can do that.
At what cost? You're a good person. Don't do this.
I won't lose you the way I lost my mother. I am becoming more powerful than any Jedi has ever dreamed of. And I'm doing it for you. To protect you.
Come away with me. Help me raise our child. Leave everything else behind while we still can.
Don't you see? We don't have to run away anymore. I have brought peace to the Republic. I am more powerful than the Chancellor. I can overthrow him. And together, you and I can rule the galaxy. Make things the way we want them to be.
I don't believe what I'm hearing. Obi-Wan was right. You've changed.
I don't want to hear any more about Obi-Wan. The Jedi turned against me. Don't you turn against me?
I don't know you anymore. Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
At this very moment, Vader would do something that will not only shift the Force in the galaxy upside down, but change the whole course of history, the future. He reaches his hand out and touches the portal as it warps. We cut to Mustafar and Padme's pleading with Anakin.
You're going down a path I can't follow.
Because of Obi-Wan.
Because of what you've done. What you plan to do.
Everything up until now happens the exact same way that we saw in Revenge of the Sith, until a man in an armored black suit would appear right behind Anakin and Padme. They both turn around and step back very cautiously as they stare into the mask of the intimidating figure. Anakin would immediately sense his presence. He tells Vader who he is, but there isn't a response from him. Anakin would sense the cybernetics on the man's body, as well as his missing limbs.
There's something wrong about you.
That is because you are looking into your future, Anakin.
Anakin would believe this is some sort of manipulation, or even a test by Palpatine for some uncertain reason he can't quite figure out. He would then scream at the man in utter rage.
I will not give in to you, ever!
You already did.
This is some Sith trick. It has to be.
The only trick that will be played out is you believing you could save her from death.
No!
Obi-Wan appears, walking down the ramp as he heard the man in black speak. He doesn't say a word as he remains there still, also sensing Anakin's presence inside of him.
Do not fall for your master's deception. He will use your power to forge himself an empire. And once that is done, you will be cast aside like the slave you always were. You were a slave all your life, as a boy, to the Jedi, and to your new master. Unless you change your destiny, which begins now, do what you wouldn't expect to do. That is how you can save Padme.
A concerned and desperate Anakin looks to Padme, then back to the man in black. Anakin would fall on his knees, almost as if something inside of him completely flipped like a switch. He begins to break down, sobbing uncontrollably, as he apologizes to Padme for everything that he's done. Anakin now knows that this path isn't going to help him save Padme. He's now just realized it. But he knows he can't go back to the light after everything he's done. As Anakin continues to cry on Padme's shoulders, Obi-Wan would gently but cautiously walk over to them, and he very carefully places his hand on Anakin's shoulder to comfort him. The man in the black suit would begin to fade away from existence as a new future is being set. So that's it for this video, guys. I had a lot of fun writing and editing this. There's actually a conclusion portion that I wrote out, but I cut out and I'll show it here in just a second. But I'd like to give a shout out to my buddy Monty for providing the voice of Darth Vader. He did a very, very, very good job. And the link to his casting call is down below in the description. Also, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I have a Discord link, so if you guys want to hop in there and chat Star Wars with me and some friends, you're welcome to do so. The link is down below there too. Oh, and I'd like to shout out Matt Lanter for those very sweet Battlefront 2 lines. Tell me guys what you think down below. How would you pitch a story that involves Vader going back in time, or what do you think Vader would do if he could go back in time to any place in the timeline? And I'll see you guys next time on Star Wars Elseworlds. And remember, may the Force be with you.